Alright, hey guys, welcome to the video. If you're new here, my name's Curtis, and today we're going to be talking about underrated fragrances. Now, I've covered this topic a few times in the past, but this video is special because it's a tag video. So I was tagged by one of my friends, Celly. If you don't know Celly, he has his own fragrance channel. It's called Celly Knows It All. So you should definitely head over there and check out his content. He has some really good content and introduces some pretty amazing fragrances over there. So definitely run over to his channel and give him a shout. I'll link his information in the description below. But yeah, I've gone through my collection and I've chosen 5 underrated fragrances that I'd like to show you guys today. And one of these fragrances today is a very new one to my collection. So I've only worn it 2 times and kind of inside in the air conditioning, but I still wanted to feature it. So if you're curious to see the fragrances that I've chosen, then let's go. So first up, from the house of Danam, we have Vietnamese Coffee. Man, so this one has to be the most realistic take I've ever seen on a coffee fragrance, and even more specifically a Vietnamese fragrance. I'm a huge fan of Vietnamese coffee, and I went to Vietnam, I don't know, probably like 7 years ago or so. Number one, I fell in love with the culture and the people there, but also the coffee is absolutely amazing. If you haven't experienced Vietnamese coffee, you definitely should. But if you have problems making it all the way over there to Vietnam, check this one out. This is a banger, such a realistic take. I never thought that coffee would necessarily be seductive or alluring, but this one is. So with this one, you get some roasted coffee, some dark chocolate, some condensed milk, and then in the base, you have a bit of amber to really kind of sweeten this one up with that chocolate. It is just intoxicating. And like I said, once you get more deep into the dry down with this one, that coffee really starts to push forward a bit more. And it is such a realistic take. The best coffee scent, hands down, in my humble opinion. Now this one pushes into that gourmand territory. So if you're not a big fan of gourmands, this may not be your cup of tea or
cup of coffee.
But this is definitely one to check out. This is the only fragrance I have from them, but I'm definitely curious to check out more fragrances from them. You get pretty good performance out of this one. But yeah, overall the scent profile is amazing. Even if this one didn't have very good performance, I would still rock it because I absolutely love the smell. So it's definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Vietnamese Coffee by Danam. Next up, from the house of Artil Dorr, we have Pomelo Riviera. Man, so this one is European vacation vibes in a bottle. You know, you're on the beach, you got your hat, your shades on, you're wearing a white linen button-up shirt, it's open, you got your shorts, barefoot on the beach, just strolling around, and you're catching that sea breeze from the ocean. That's the vibe that you kind of get with this. Now, this one is such a realistic take on pomelo grapefruit, and that's what it smells like. You're basically just getting refreshing pomelo grapefruit right here in the bottle. It is extremely clean. It has a sexiness to it, but just very refreshing, especially in these hot, humid temperatures like we're having right now. Thankfully, they're almost over, hopefully. But yeah, this is a great one from the brand, and one that you don't really hear about talked about all that often. But what I will say about this one is this one does sit quite close to the skin. It doesn't project a whole lot, so you can go quite crazy on the sprays with this one. I mean, I'll usually, when I wear this one in the summertime too, you'll definitely get a little bit of projection, but when I wear this one, I usually go anywhere from like 15 to 20 sprays, and I'm definitely not someone who usually sprays that amount, but with this fragrance, I do, because it's really non-offensive and it doesn't really push off so much. But I noticed that if I can spray that amount, I can definitely catch some subtle wafts, and I really enjoy the smell with this one, hence why I spray that much with this particular fragrance. But yeah, this is definitely a great one from the brand. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Pomelo Riviera by Artil Dorr. Next up, from the house of Jeroboam, we have Unu. So you guys know I talk about the house of Jeroboam a lot on my channel, and Jeroboam is known for having those kind of black bottles with gold letters, but this one, as you can see, is white. Now this one was an exclusive fragrance. It was available in the UK somewhere, I believe, and I don't remember the name of the store, but I was able to get a bottle of this one, and man, with absolutely zero regrets. This is a fruity, musky fragrance. This one has a bit of creaminess. You get some sandalwood, and it almost kind of functions in a way as a skin scent, but not really a skin scent, because this one performs extremely well. But it really just kind of, I don't know, the muskiness almost kind of, it just, with me, in my experience, it marries so well with my skin chemistry that it almost kind of feels like a second skin to an extent. But this one is a subtle, this is so hard to explain. This is a subtle fragrance with great performance. I don't know, the experience of the notes isn't overwhelming. This is the epitome of subtlety, but like I said before, the experience is intense, but the notes aren't so overwhelming.
I feel like that doesn't make any sense.
So I hope one of you guys will understand what I'm trying to say. The musk in here is done extremely well. It's just very clean and pure, and maybe that's why they chose the white color for the bottle for this one, because it's a very pure, clean smelling musky scent. But I absolutely love it. This one does lean quite feminine to my nose, but it's unisex, but leaning feminine. So if you're not a fan of unisex leaning feminine scents, then, if you're a man, you might want to stay away from this one. But man, what I would say is, like, don't limit yourself. If you see fragrances that, are unisex or leaning feminine, don't say, oh, I'm not going to try that. I was one of those guys, and I did that for the longest time. But man, once I really kind of opened my eyes and my nose to having those olfactive experiences, man, I realized how much I was missing out. And this one is a banger, and I'm glad that I've had the experience. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Unu by Jeroboam. So next up, we have a layering combo. We have Royal Incense by Oman Luxury, layered with Rose de Taif Extrait by Paris Monte Carlo. Man, so you might be thinking, rose and incense, how does that kind of work out? Well, it works out perfectly well. Now, this wasn't my idea to layer these. I saw another fragrance reviewer talking about this combination, and I tried it out, and boy, magic in a bottle. Now, Royal Incense off my skin, it comes off quite rosy for sure. So using this Paris Monte Carlo Rose de Taif Extrait just really amps up the rose in Royal Incense. But that combination of heavy rose with incense is intoxicating. You also get some subtle sweetness in this one too, with some ambery type of vanillic notes. But man, the combination of these two is, number one, it's beastly. Both of these fragrances are extremely strong, but it's intoxicating. But the way I chose to layer this was Royal Incense is the more, even though this one is an extrait, Royal Incense is the more complex fragrance. So I laid this one down as a base, and then I layered this one over the top. But yeah, it was amazing. Both of these fragrances are just stunning on their own. But when you layer these two up, it almost kind of pushes you in that direction of that one fragrance by Amouage. I'm trying to think of the name. I think it's called Rose Incense. It's in kind of the like brownish kind of tan bottles. I'll throw a picture up here on the screen. But it kind of pushes in that direction if you've ever smelled that fragrance. But man, this is a magical combination, and one that you should definitely check out. But even if you aren't into layering, you should check these fragrances out on their own, as they are both just stunners in my humble opinion. You guys know I've talked about Rose de Taif Extrait so many times on the channel because I'm a huge lover of it. In Royal Incense, I've talked a couple times about, but yeah, this is another banger. And Oman Luxury is a brand that I want to dive into a bit deeper. This is the first fragrance, well, I guess second fragrance. This is the only bottle that I have, but I have tested Wanderlust. Wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but this one was. So definitely want to dive a little bit more into this brand for sure. But yeah, these are two bangers, and definitely, if you can, check out this combination. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Royal Incense by Oman Luxury and Rose de Taif Extrait by Paris Monte Carlo. And finally, from the house of Rosendo Matsu, we have number 7. All right, so in the intro to this video, I was talking about there's a fragrance that I just purchased recently. It is this fragrance. So this one is new in my collection. I have worn it twice in the air conditioning inside. This fragrance is quite heavy and it has a bit of sweetness to it. So with these humid temperatures that we're having right now in Japan, it just would be difficult to pull off outside. But I have had 2 full wearings experience inside in the air conditioning, and man, this is such a gorgeous scent. Performance is amazing. So basically in this one you get patchouli, oud, and vanilla as listed here on the bottle. And the patchouli in here almost kind of pushes along the lines of Javoy psychedelic, and especially in the dry down, it smells, it's going down the same road. Those 2 fragrances are not the same by any means, but that's what this one kind of reminded me of. Now, the patchouli in here does have a slight earthiness to it, but it is balanced out very well. Number 1 by the oud, but also that vanilla gives it a nice sweetness. It kind of pushes into that slightly gourmand territory to an extent. This is a delicious vanilla, but again, that patchouli kind of balances everything out. So it doesn't like push too heavily into that gourmand territory, but it kind of dips itself in there just a little bit. So yeah, you get that sweetness from the vanilla, that oud and patchouli combined just so well. And yeah, this is such a great fragrance. And usually I hear people talking about Rosendo Matsu number 5. Not a whole lot of people are talking about number 7. I have seen a few people talk about number 7. Most of the hype comes for number 5. But yeah, this is definitely a banger and one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of number 7 by Rosendo Matsu. All right guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content, and let me know down in the comments section what are some underrated fragrances that you have in your collection, and have you experienced any of the fragrances that I've shown you today, and what do you think about them? Well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.